Hello everyone. So this is a CPL stream. Today we are streaming. Hello everyone. So today we are streaming Group 17 from preseason first week, and today we have a group with 2 Protoses, 2 Zergs and a Terran. So quite a good mix. Starting us off, we will have a match of, just a second, starting us off is a match with Melina, BG and Huron. So here we go. With map is Polypoid. In the top right we have Huron, and in the bottom left we have Melina in pink. So pink Terran is an interesting color. Usually we see pink Zergs, but it's a good color, a good contrast. So Polypoid is a big macro map, very standard, and right now in PvT on cross maps in particular we are likely to see a long game, at least the positions favor it. So we see GeoHF from both players, so good manners, refreshing, and I think both players are around 1.3k MMR, which is the case for pretty much this entire group, so everyone should be fairly close together. I think Melina is a bit higher, 1.3 to 1.5k, but it's a TVP, Protoss favorite, so we should see a good game. And immediately we see 8 probe scout from the Protoss. So this is a bit weird because on a 4-player map with an 8 scout, usually it means you're trying to lay a gas steal on a 4-player map, but it is unusual. It delays your build quite a lot. You cannot afford probe and gateway at the same time, and then you cannot afford 11 gas, so it cuts quite a bit into your production. And he's gonna find his opponent on the second try. And from the turn we have standard, I think it's 11 barracks and 12 gas, so standard, not a 10-10, so not an FD, but just standard play, and this looks like it's going to be a 13 scout. And from the Protoss we have 12 Nexus actually, so this is a bit problematic, because we went for an 8 probe scout. This Nexus is quite delayed, and the issue is when we are going for 12 Nexus, in most builds the Protoss is using supply from the Nexus to make units after 17, to make initial zealots. So because you don't want to order another pylon, and because we went for an 8 scout, this is a bit problematic. And he sees his opponent is going for refinery and marines, and Terran should be able to scout the 12 Nexus early enough. So we have a gateway and a pylon. This is not very good. This is not very good because this pylon, this 100 minerals could go into a second gateway, a core, or a simulator, or probes. So usually you want to get either like gateway, gas, gateway plus core, or gateway, gas, core. As the difference is whether you get 1 or 2 zealots. Over here we actually are seeing a manor pylon. This does not achieve much, considering the turn has mined minerals for a factory and stopped entirely, so this looks like it will be a vulture with no add-on, so this pylon wasn't achieving much. We are a little bit late on the transfer. We want to bring like 5 probes quickly, so we're getting 2 gateways, and yeah, right now we have the supply 20 of 34. This is why it is quite important to get your first 3 minutes of the build all right, for decent efficiency. Nothing much happens at this time, so okay, so we have a bunker, and this is a bit too early. We have 2 marines and 2 SCVs, and 3rd marine rallied, and we will have a vulture. So this bunker should be cleared because marines aren't quite here yet. But we are not starting more zealots yet, and we are not mining gas. So okay, this by the minerals it looks like it got cancelled. So these marines are very brave, attacking into 1 zealot with no cover. Okay, here is the cover. but still it's can be difficult. And Zealot is flanking, so yeah, it catches, immediately kills one Marine. It's hard to micro Marines against Zealots. This is why for beginners 12 Nexus is a very strong build. However, we are not mining with like 8 probes, so it's some economic damage. And we are getting 2 more. Oh, the issue is that we're getting 4th and 5th Zealot. And yes, the Vulture is here, and the micro is good from the Terran, so looks like the bunker will get up, because sure we have these Zealots and they can chase Marines, but this Vulture is very strong in this situation. Luckily for the Protoss, Terran retreats a bit, so we get a bit more time. We started mining gas, we can get goons, but it's really hard to fight against the Vulture and Marines without Dragoons. And yeah, Terran is playing it safe and is getting a distant bunker. This bunker will not reach the Nexus, but meanwhile Protoss is not mining and is not producing probes. So micro is good from the Terran. He's actually winning time to get the bunker to finish and just jump inside. So these Zealots ended up just chasing the Marines, and that's not good for the Protoss. Vulture barely squeezed by, didn't get trapped, so now the dust pretty much settled. The rush is over, we can't really make another bunker in front easily, not without reinforcements, and meanwhile we made a add-on, mines and 2 more Vultures, so Terran gets map control. This command center better make it on location, no reason when you are rushing to make it in your main. Well, we are going to Aptos Triple Factor immediately. It looks like Melina might want to seal the deal with this bunker rush. So we are placing mines, and this is an issue because this Vulture is in a very good position, but yeah, it got good. Like mines over here and running the Vulture behind here, that would be very scary. But now actually the goons are out. But how is the range? Range is not even started yet, we didn't start range and we didn't start the robo. This means that we have no way to get through this campaign. Unfortunately, to lose another Vulture before planting mines, but we brought this. Was it brought? Or 2 of them? Sort of, okay, this looks like a misrally from the main command center. It happens, at least now we have the Swiss to repair this. So in this situation, obviously Terran hasn't been inside the Protoss main for a while. Oh, thanks, I will make the sound a bit less. Hopefully it will be easier to hear me, because my mic is maxed actually. Alright, so Terran doesn't know what Protoss has, so he doesn't know that range is late and there is no robo started. Well, he can suspect that range is late because goons aren't trying to range the bunker, but it's not a guarantee. So right now it's kinda possible to like make a turret here, make an eBay, make a supply, bring tanks, siege mode, win. Alternatively, we could go for mines into triple command center, because we have map control. It will take a while for Protoss to get robotics. With 12 Nexus it will be always later than with a core build. So Terran has many options. Unfortunately Protoss is contained. We are getting a forge and second gas, and we don't quite have a robo still, so this contain may last for a very long time. Luckily for the Protoss it doesn't look like the Terran is reinforcing the contain. We're actually getting armory, we're getting ePay and turrets, so we're playing it safe with a bit late second gas. But I mean, it's a fine timing. And we now are getting siege mode, but we're not pushing. Actually the Protoss is getting cannons. Alright, cannons in this situation aren't really helping. I don't know if Terran has noticed it, but if I was in Terran shoes and I saw cannons going up and a forge, I'd be suspecting DTs. But we're not making an academy quite yet, but we have 1 turret per base at least. That's good. And we are checking for hidden expansions. That's also great. One thing that's important to know, I didn't know I would see it ever, but we have cannons raging the bunker. Alright, I guess that's possible. Okay, so what happened, slowly but surely the Terran got 10 workers ahead. When the rush ended, they were about even. I think the Terran player had 1 more SCB, and now it's a 10 worker lead advantage. So Protoss is missing his working production, Terran is not, and soon we will see how it ends up working out, because right now the supply is pretty much even. Terran is slowly starting to pull ahead. We are not making a lot of vouchers that are supply intensive. We are making add-ons, factories. It's 1.3k MMR for both. So we checked for, we have mines here and here. We could use some mines over here, but we are checking the entire map for hidden bases. Could check here. This is a popular spot for hidden bases. They never check it. So just something to keep in mind. Oh, hey, Audagy. Good to see you. Thanks for watching. Alright, so from the Protoss we have, as a follow-up, we have double forge and support bay and a shuttle and leg speed. And for gateways, oh, we are going double, oh, 3 gateways. We are going double robo. Double robo the way, so exciting. But unfortunately we have still no observer and zero map control and map vision. On the other hand, we have a third command center from Terran. We are going for double armory. I imagine science facility will start soon, but 5 factories, so the Terran machine is starting strong. And we finally are getting an academy for information. Now, right now it would be good to have an academy a bit earlier. Making it earlier cuts a bit into your SCV production. However, you want to know if they are going, for example, for 2-base carrier or something like that, to not be surprised by it. On the Protoss end, we still didn't send observer across, so we have no idea what's going on. For the Terran, map vision is great, but could have some over here, because right now this entire passage is like a blind spot that the Protoss army can walk through and surprise Terran. So we're finally moving out. I don't know, to take it short possibly, or just poking around. For Terran, the base is landed. We are getting supply depot turrets. This should be fairly unbreakable with the armies that the Protoss has. But we have speed lots and we are running around the map with them. Oh, that's oh, poor Ursadon, why did you do it? This is a bit ballsy, even with observer. Could have mines there, and scans went off, so Protoss sees Terran sees 2 robots and 3 gateways only. So when you scan like this and you see 3 gateways only, you probably want to check once again for hidden bases and check if there are any carriers going on. But overall, you can just push. Maybe not immediately, wait for your production after third base to kick in a bit more, like make a round of units from these factories and you can just go. This eBay actually sees the zealots, shouldn't be a surprise, but I mean you cannot push here with this army. Yep. Well, Protoss wisely backs off and takes a short base. So we are still behind on workers, but we're getting some rivers. Maybe we'll see some harassment. Terran looks quite safe with the turrets. We have turrets everywhere. We could fly. I guess we have turrets here and glaives here. Like we could fly through this passage maybe, but overall Terran looks very safe. And the supply lead from the economy turned into a 30 supply lead. And Protoss, the problem is, I see that the Protoss player is making units from the 3 gateways that he has fairly well, so there are no breaks. We just need more gateways. We need like 6 to 8 gateways at this stage of the game to spend the money, and we are getting some more now. We also took the high ground position and we tried to harass with the river, but there isn't a weak spot when you go over here, but the river might die if it unloads, because there are 2 tanks, 3 tanks, could one-shot it immediately. A good idea is to bring a zealot with your river to absorb a tank shot. For example, drop here, fire, scare, run, stuff like that. Overall, map control is a bit lacking for Protoss, because it looks like a big dark world out there. So you want your observers at least watching over here, because Terran army is very strong once you get in position. If you don't watch for the Terran move out, it is possible for somewhat inferior Terran army to just walk up to you, siege and attack positions, and you cannot do anything about it anymore, except try to counterattack. So map vision is important. In this matchup, map vision is very important. So we caught up on bases as Protoss, and we are yet to transfer workers there, but by getting upgrades, 1 shield's interesting. And we are not really using the double robo. I think we have 3 observers and 1 shuttle in the river. Probably not worth to go for double robo for that. But we are getting gateways. For Terran, this is scary. This is just... I'm a main Protoss player, and I could tell that this is scary. The army is growing, the upgrades are going. We have 2-2 on the way. We're actually taking a 4th. I think at this point you can just push and win the game, but we are playing it safe, getting more ahead. Trying harass, but there is a pylon wall. Unfortunately there are no probes here, and we didn't really lose too many vultures. So right now Terran is starting to save up some money as well. I think at this point don't be afraid to just square up 2 tanks and like 3 to 4 vultures in each factory if you have the money. It will give you the time to hotkey everything, to move your army in position, to scan. Oh, hey Flash, this is StarCraft actually. I sometimes stream some other games, but this time it's StarCraft is Coach Pupil. If you enjoy watching RTS, just take a look. So Terran is making another EB over here and setting up a wall. So this should be fairly unbreakable once we have some mines, some tanks over here, and we are bringing them over. We have also a healthy 73 worker count, so at this point you should probably stop, saturate your bases, and once your upgrades kick in and your max set, just push. Terran is content just sitting on his bases and not pushing, mostly because he knows he's very ahead on economy, so it's on the Protoss to actually make something happen. Terran is not even on even base, we are actually up base and we are getting great upgrades. +3 attacks started immediately and we are almost maxed. So at this point Protoss finally cleared mines, but yeah, it's going to be difficult to make something happen. Unfortunately still not mining from the third base while the main is almost mined out, so prediction will be that we are going to see a lot of blue goo, but I mean anything can happen. It's possible to catch the Terran army on the move unsieged and have a good engagement, but we are actually attacking into this, and this is not good. Splash damage galore. So this was a suicidal move. One of the easiest way to throw a game as a Protoss, even if you're ahead, to attack into such a choke point. Generally, if you watch pro games on poly point, usually Protoss attacks from this position, in this direction. Even though it's a high ground and there are mines, it's better than attacks through this position and face like an arc of ranged units way over here. It's possible to attack through both at once, but if you're attacking from one direction, go from here. Of course, in that situation, it couldn't work. We just didn't have the units to make that engagement ever. And over here, it's only 2 tanks as you can see, but Dragoons up the ramp, they don't go that well. So, however, Terran is taking their time. Finally, we are moving out with vultures, but tanks are unsieged but not moving yet. And goods can get a good trade here with the vultures, but what is important, and these mines are cutting off the retreat. So, tanks a bit late on the move, but these goons will have a hard time retreating. Actually, this went better than expected, only 1 died to mines. But still, as you can see, the Protoss bank is almost gone. We spent the money. We're not making any more units. We're still not mining from the third base, and the Terran is taking a 5th. Yep, this looks like a bit of a mismatch. But I mean, it takes a lot of time and effort to get a Terran base to cross them up and siege. Now we still have great map control as a Terran, so just crossing our dots. Yeah, pretty much turrets everywhere, no recall can happen. Of course we could scan and see that there is no Stargate or Templar Archives, but I mean, we see double robo, we can make some turrets. And finally we are getting Protect Split, it looks like. I think it will, +3 should kick in for the attack. And yep, we still left some tanks over here, that's good. There's generally some mines on the counter-attack path, so we would not be surprised much. And yes, the Protoss you want to engage in the open, like if an turn is crossing over here, you could flank them. Like you want to counter-attack, or you want to fight them in an arc, or you want to recall. Over here it looks like a counter-attack, however, this is a bit too late. The turn already got into this critical position. Over here they could just mine up and siege, and here they are already in these positions that cannot be flanked. And GG comes out, we have defensive matrices, and yeah, the Grogu just melted. You cannot engage against tanks in this position, especially on 3-2 tanks. So that is game 1. We have turn winning after 20 minutes with a hefty bank and a great map control basis, leads, army and upgrades. So let's see what happens next. For the next match we have PvP. It's SC2GG Rise against Huron, and the map is once again Polypoid. And let's see how this goes. So we saw Huron play just now. He's in the teal in the bottom right on the Polypoid, and SC2GG is on the top left, and it's PvP. So let's see how that goes. From what we can see, both players split their worker price. Unfortunately, Huron did not order a 6 probe. Chat can be distracting. I'm not sure if that was the cause, but being asked something, you could just miss a probe as a beginner. Over here, and it looks like we have 2 probes on this mineral patch. Not sure. Here, as you can see, we have multiple probes mining from the same patch. So what you want to do in the beginning of the game is for center gate you want to send like your 7th probe. So this is it's 7.9, 7 out of 9. You want to immediately send your probe to the center. It's a bit late for center gates, but well, we have an both Pion in main and 8 scout for SC2GG. Here on this game does not choose to opt for an 8 scout, so yeah, chat usually means rush. It's a good read. you're correct, colors. So looks like we have gateway first for Huron, and yeah, also gateway from SC2GG, so no 12 next from either of them. Right, so on topic of mining, you want to send your first probes to a unique mineral patches generally for maximum efficiency, because if you have multiple probes on the same mineral patch, it's about 1.5 times less efficient mining, because they spend time, like this probe just moving between. We are still not mining from the bottom patch, so it's a small thing, but small things matter. Isn't like much to do with the early game. It's certainly better than to spam. As we can see, Huron is warming his hands and going up to 500 APM, but mining efficiently would probably be better. So we are going for 13 core, and over here we went for Zealot core, and we are going to cut a probe. No. Okay, when we are going for a Zealot, for core Zealot, we want to cut a probe and we want to make a Pion at 16. Because right now we have the money for Pion and we have no supply to make either a goon or a probe, so we are supply blocked. And that is going to possibly set SC2GG behind in workers, like 2 to 3 workers. Meanwhile, Huron actually got his Zealot as well, and we are both supply blocked, so I guess it's even. We are cross spots, we are doing the same build, and we are both supply blocked. From what we see, SC2GG is getting a second Zealot. You don't want or need a second Zealot in this situation. We can just go for straight goon because you're not being crushed. What is important is that SC2GG has a vision of his opponent's base, and this zealot I think is going to block the passage if it's on hold position. Yep, it's blocked, so this probe is not getting up and we will be in the dark for a long time. Huron is saving up some money. We were supply blocked, so we couldn't spend it, and so this dragoon is late. And because this dragoon is late, we are not chasing away the probe, so we cannot actually get our tech unless we are willing to, I don't know, mind game or just place it in plain sight. So that is problematic. Actually, this probe is running away, expecting goon to be done, but not yet, not yet. And the scout actually died as Zealot came out and killed it. And as soon as this probe leaves, we have Huron going for a Nexus. So not a 12 Nexus, but still an extremely greedy Nexus for a PvP matchup. We are even skipping range. So this can be strong if you are facing someone who plays, for example, robotics defensively and doesn't pressure immediately, doesn't go... Well, I mean, if you just in general, if they went for robotics and both players do the build optimally, then it should not be possible to break a Nexus with just dragoons. However, we see a 3-gate. We have 3-gate goon with range. And we are not going to get supply blocked. This round should finish soon enough. So this doesn't look good for our blue Protoss, because we are going goon heavy. And if we just cross the map with this and attack, we are probably going to win. Yeah, I meant most likely, if, for example, if you throw a Nexus and then immediately another gateway and you go to gate goon, you can defend from 2-gate goon without a Nexus. If you go like 3-gate after a Nexus, you can defend against a robo into 3-gate ops. So just if you spend the money on goons and gateways and don't rush to attack on your own and they went for a robo, your Nexus will not be breakable without a river. That's like a general rule of thumb. And yes, this is indeed a rule, this is a punch opportunity, because we went for not only 2 gates and Nexus and late range, we actually went for a robo as well. This is just 3-gate, walk across map and kill you. So, in other words, more beats less, and we actually should have a range advantage. If we go right now, it will probably kick in or barely for defender, but we have 1 goon standing here and no reinforcements coming, and 3 goons are not going to beat this army. So this looks like a short game. It's a bit of a builder order win. I don't know if SC2GG knows how his opponents plays or if he just went for it blindly, but if you go greedy, this can happen to you. You could put the best players in the world here and it would end the same. Alrighty, so that's game 2 and we have Huron down 2-0, but he may win some other games in the future. Yes, indeed, Blue went for 2 fast Nexi, and in the second game he got punished for it much worse than the previous one. So for the next matchup we have the victor of the last game, SC2GG, going up against M153 in a PvZ matchup, and it's on Polypoid. Once again, both players are around 1.3k MMR, so should be a fairly close match. And we have SC2GG spawning in the top right, not quite splitting workers well, but it's fine. We only wasted 8 minerals, it's not a terrible deal. We immediately corrected at least. And in the bottom left we have M153, and we see that M153, while they are not sending a worker per mineral patch immediately, we are doing the larva trick. So if you select larva with an overlord and you press stop, and then larvas go to the left. In this case it's closer to the minerals. And I mean, you should not go this fast for an Nexus, but he saw that it wasn't like a 2-gate dragoon straight up, so immediate attack is unlikely. It was just zealots. But of course it's risky. A 3-gate goon is going to just straight up kill it, and that's what ended up happening. But it's a sort of build that when executed correctly, it is going to die to one party coursing, maybe two, and is going to be ahead against everything else. So if you like gambling and PvP comes down to that a lot, then it is a very strong option to have. So we have a natural pylon. We don't know what we're going to do with it just yet. It could be a gateway expand, forge expand, fast nexus. But this pylon is not in a good position to make a wall. You want to place a pylon over here. Then you can place forge here and gateway on top of it. And then we'll have two gaps over here and one gap over here. But here, if we, for example, make a forge here, we'll have a gap here, here, and two here, and it's going to be harder to stop the links. So the players are going for, I think it was 12 hedge and 11 nexus for the Protoss, 11 forge. So fairly even opening. The Protoss took a big risk. For example, this would straight up die to a 9 pull or 5 pull. It is possible to defend overpull with it, especially on cross positions. This build is generally made to punish overpull, but yes, the Protoss is playing quite greedy. Normally you scout after forge with it, but we are going for cannon and maybe then gateway and then scout, not sure yet. Yeah, cannon, gateway and then scout. We actually cut some probes for the gateway. That's a bit pointless because we will not have money to keep making probes, make a simulator and then core immediately. So it's like faster gateway doesn't help us here. From the Zerg side, we are scouting with the drone. We see that the filthy Protoss went for 11 nexus blindly, but we can make, yep, we are making 3 drones and 0 Zorlings because we scouted and our opponent didn't, and we are getting our ahead economically. This gas is a little bit late. Normally you want to take it immediately as you place your third hatchery if you're going for a 3 hatchery gas build, but it's not too important. So we are droning. There is still no probe out of the map, so we actually don't even need 2 links to deny scouting. We can just drone happily. So for the Protoss side, oh, this cybernetic core. So 2 issues over here. First, well, fast core is good. We are going for, because 11 nexus allows us to skip making second pylon for a long time, we can tech very fast. So this is good. The issue here is this wall looks like it is going to be very hard to fit in cannons here against 3H Hydra. Like you could put some cannons over here, and the Hydras could snipe these gateways, these pylons, this forge. This core is protected by this cannon. Unfortunately, it's hard to place cannons to protect this cannon. Alright, so we are going for manloads. We are going full manload build. We are basically calling ourselves rich, and we're getting 4 gate speed load with +1. No, without +1. They're just going zealots. We don't need no upgrades. And okay, an issue here is we want to transfer more workers to natural. We want to make workers as a natural, and we want to mine from our natural. So this nexus is not paying off. We went for a quick nexus, but we are not using it. We are cutting probes from gas after ordering speed, so it's basically going to be a 5 gauge out of lane, and we're starting +1 late, prioritizing speed over it. What do we have from the Zerg side? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 Hedge Hydra with no layer, and yeah, we're probably Evo Chamber, I guess, for ranged attack. But right now, with a bit late, we are getting this Zealot or Zerling in front. So what Protoss could do is send their first Zealot across to force more links. At least if they had a probe out, they could see how many links are there. And if the Zerg is just on 2, you can attack and retreat when the Zerg makes more Zerlings. So the probe saw a Hydra. It's important, but I don't think the probe saw this creep. So if Protoss may misread it as a 3H Hydra, but 3H Hydra could be, or hero is 6 Hydras already. This is 5H Hydra. But luckily for Protoss, we are just going for a lot of Zealots. It is possible to pressure this Hydra build with what the Protoss is doing, because we are cutting workers, we are not mining gas, we are just going for very heavy Zealot production, and as soon, I guess Zealot speed is already done, we're not going yet, maybe waiting for one more round. But Zerg has no idea, we didn't get an Overlord to see. So right now, if the Zerg sees this and reacts, he knows that Zealots are out. And we are making a lot of Hydras. So from the Zerg side, this is a position that's easy to defend from the Zealots. You just sit over here and there is no surface area. But this is very vulnerable. Like this base in general is vulnerable, and we didn't get a hatchery or an Evo chamber or a den here. But we are fighting actually in the open, and this is good for Protoss. These Hydras may end up falling and trading really poorly. Like, Zerg has an economy lead for sure, but there are Zealots everywhere, and these Zealots run up over here. And this is what you want to do as Protoss, because Hydras usually beat Zealots if microed, but if you attack in two places at once, you end up with Hydras fighting Zealots in melee and not being microed. And you are forcing a drill, so it's like this is what you want to do if you go for something like this. You want to engage in multiple spots, so you have chaos everywhere. This, as you can see, Hydras end up just fighting the Zealots. So what you want to do as a Zerg to stop this, you want to have walls, and you want to sit behind walls, so you cannot be surrounded. So, as you can see, this Evo chamber, oh, we have no UG leave, but this is why Protoss is strong at the lower level. So, Zealots are strong, and they're easy to micro, very responsive, and you need to have a correct mindset of what you're doing in this. So, I'm not sure why the Hydras went out, but perhaps it was on Elite chat that you wrote the GG because it wasn't visible, but I mean that happens. So what you want to do is this den and this Evo chamber, you could place them over here, and then you could have Hydras here and Hydras here. And if the Protoss is actually, your Zerling sees that many Zealots living, you probably can also afford a sunken here and sunken here, and then you can defend. So yeah, just stay back, your economy will kick in, you will have enough Hydras. Hydras versus Zealots, it works like this: the more units both sides have, the stronger the Hydras are, because Zealots clump up, they don't get the surface area. It's kind of similar as fighting Marines with Zerlings. So yeah, just SimCity, defend, and soon your production will allow you to just move into Protoss natural. Just a couple more waves of Hydras. It's going out was a mistake for sure. Alright, so let's see what we have for the next match. For the next match we have TVZ, and it's Melina ZZZ against M153. As always, it's going to be Polypoid. So far the turn is up 1-0 in the group, and our Zerg is down 1-0, but it can go either way. Let's see how it goes. We have the Zerg in the top right, doing a good split, and we have the Terran in the bottom left. Undead Girl, that's Melina, I believe, just on a different name. Not quite sending a worker per unique patch, but splitting alright. And it's cross spots again, so a lot of cross spots on Polypoid today. Possibly favoring long games. You are correct, Quadrax. I imagine either 2-gate Zealots, proxy 2-gate Zealots, or 2-base Speedlots is what a lot of Protoss players are doing in the lower ranks, and it's effective, it's hard to stop, it's not too hard to execute, it's certainly harder to stop than it is to execute, and that's what you should be doing to learn the game. And learning to stop these Zealots attack is how the Zergs start to turn the matchup in their favor, I would say, because while you are still dying to that, you do not really enjoy the Zerg advantage in the matchup. Once you can stop those decisively, that's when it starts to get really problematic for Protoss. So we have, I guess it looks like a barracks. Yep, no 14 command centers, and looks like a 12 hatchery from the Zerg. So far so good, so far so standard. We are on the cross maps, cross positions, so this 12 hatch should be fairly safe. We may be going for 11 pool now or a 12 pool. Something to take away from the last game, observe how Protoss moved his zealots. So that run bite to the natural is actually what did it, because if we just fought hero against Hydras, it would eventually be stopped by the reinforcements, but forcing a drill, killing spawning Hydras that are on move command, just getting good engagements everywhere, that's how you do it. And reinforcements were on point as well. Right, so we have 2 hatch gas, so I imagine 2.5 hatch or 3 hatch Spire, possibly, or I don't know, could be Hydra then. We are yet to see, but this is a fairly fast gas. And on the Terran side, we are, looks like, going for mech build. We mined 100 gas and just going to get a factory. The drone didn't get to scout it. That is unfortunate, and because right now it means that we will have to play safe against possible vulture. So mining gas, and as a Terran we are probably going for a command center behind it. At least we are not mining gas and we are saving up the minerals for it. No transfer from the Zerg. Could bring 2 to 3 drones. And okay, is this going to, it looks like a sunken or maybe a new chamber, or then it's a sunken. Okay, so quick coding. This looks like it's way too fast. So you could send one Zelink over here to make sure like no 2 barracks, 6 marines come out and kill you. But overall this sunken is not necessary at this point in time. As you can see, the vulture is not started yet, and the sunken is already almost complete, so this is a bit too fast. It looks like we only have 2 drones on gas. That can be very problematic. This matchup is very gas intensive for the Zerg player. Could be starting at third hatchery, or here or here. And the Terran, we are taking our natural, preparing to secure it with a bunker. We are getting a vulture out on the map. If it moves, mostly as we can see, Undergirl really likes to play safe. So just a defensive position. From this should not die to any speedling openings and so on. We lost the CV, so we don't know if the Zerg made speed and 20 Zerlings immediately after the CV died. So we're just staying behind. But we could send out first vulture. Like first vulture could go out and second could defend, stuff like that. Oh, I will try to decrease this size of this. Just a second. Alright, I'm a bit new to streaming, so please tell me if it's alright now. So the third player, we're taking a third hatchery, droning up nicely, and we're going for lurkers. Lurkers is a nice choice, because you don't need a lot of APM or multitasking to do the damage that mutas need to do, and you don't need to micro as much. In case of lurkers, actually, what makes lurkers not quite so good is if there is a bow of marine medic over here, and they just kite you the entire day. And when you're starting out, that's really hard for Terran to do. So lurkers are a smart choice in this situation. Of course, it's not so great against the mech opening. For example, against the Goliath build we could have some issues, but we are sneaking at third base, so these vultures are not achieving their purpose. They didn't scout, they didn't lay mines, and we are getting ahead with murder over here. So heavy upgrades. Not sure, did we cancel lurker upgrade? Because I'm not sure if it finished. But we are getting Hydras, and so we are going, I guess, Crazy Zerg, double upgrades, Queen Nest. Interesting that we are getting Evo Chamber range, so not really in Carapace, but we are going against mech, so right now Goliath timing could be scary. These Hydras are enough to scare the Vultures away, but we cannot bring drones over here while this is going on. Yeah. We are going for a very quick hive, but I don't think that would be in time to stop any Goliath push from to base. Luckily, Turn is taking their time, getting an eBay. Not sure if we need it, but we didn't actually get an academy. I imagine this boot doesn't get an academy for a long time. But I mean, we see Hydra speed, so should not expect it just yet. But we don't know, so we got an eBay just in case. So Hydras with a vision from the Overlord are pushing any possible mines away and the Vultures, and they secured the passage to transfer drones over, and we immediately transfer. So it looks like M153 has a clear game plan on what he wants to achieve and is following it. That's quite rare to see at this stage, but that's a sign that you have your game plan together. So immediately as we got Hydra speed, we moved on Overlord here to clear mines, and then we transferred. So that's good to see, very good. Now we see the Academy Terrans also needs information. We are not quite on top of our worker production this game compared to the TVP that Undead Curl played and was shown here there. I think this Commander also might be one hex of position, something to watch out for. But yeah, we are getting tanks, so it's not like Mass Goliath. We are a bit blind. We know there is Hydras, but we don't know if there is like 9 Mutas hatching right now. Still no scan, but we're just relying on 2 turrets and 3 Goliaths on 8 minutes. That's, I guess all the Goliaths are over here as they're trading nicely, but this is not enough information and not enough defense to deal with mid risks. But we are arranging some hatcheries, might end up killing this, microing a bit, microed nicely, kept the Goliath alive, didn't take too many hits from the sunken, and possibly might end up killing this hatchery. Unfortunately, this base is long operational, it's now secure from random vultures with this sunken, and it's giving, like, we have Terran ahead on 10 SCVs, but actually the economy is pretty much even. This extra mineral line is worth at least 5 workers on its own. So we have a Terran and even economy against there. And even though we went for +1 armor because we lost those 5 Goliaths, killing the hatchery was great, but we didn't retreat on time. We don't quite have the army to attack, and by the time we will be ready, the Zerg should have a lot of units. And we badly need more factories. I think we are starved on gas a bit to be able to actually spend this money, but in this case it might be good to get a round of vultures to throw down more factories to be able to spend your money immediately. Like, vultures are still useful, they can still lay mines, they can do a lot. They are not so terrible against Hydras. It's hard not to get vulture worth. So if you spend, obviously the better decision will be to take a second gas earlier and mine it with 3 CVs, but making a round of vultures and just throwing down a lot of factories is better. I mean, it's a good fallback to be able to spend your money. Now we are pretty much almost saturated on 2 bases. We're getting +1 armor, but we are sneaking base for both players. However, M153 is not letting our Terran get away with what they did themselves. This Goliath move out is very brave. We know that there are about 20 Hydras on the map, some over here, and we are just attacking. I think this looks like we are just blindly executing a build, because this no way that could work. We might get some Hydras, but this army will get surrounded and will never get to retreat. And unfortunately we went up to 2000 minerals. Why? Because we are getting a vessel and we are getting upgrades and we are still only making Goliath. So finally we are starting to see some vouchers because we badly need to spend this money. And these two SCVs on gas is really wreaking havoc with our Terran because we are going for mech and we cannot spend our money. Also, good note, it is good to clear this bunker once you leave because these tanks are stuck. They will need to go through the mineral line and they will stumble on SCVs, it will take forever. On another note, this is not very good, bleeding some Hydras, but retreat is fairly prompt. We only lost 3 Hydras, maybe we'll bleed some more on retreat. No, good retreat. And we are taking 4, we have Hive, we have Defilers, we are getting, I guess, 2-2. And we are spending our money very well, so we don't have too many drones compared to workers for as a Terran, but we have 1 on each page, so standard for this matchup. And we have good upgrades, good army and good tech. Could use an Nidus, but because we have only 1 Defiler, but we have good vision, so here this is, I guess it's fine. We picked off some tanks and can run. This overstaying a bit too much, but any tank you kill is great. And now Terran should be really worried because they have no vision. Oh, they caught the lurkers here, and this is a nice pick-off. Important because these lurkers, if they join in with a Defiler, that could probably be lights out. And we're bleeding some units, but this bunker will prevent any reinforcements from coming. And we are only down to 2 tanks, so and we cannot spend our money because we are so low on gas. Like, these tanks are trading great, but there's just too much Zerg over here, and we cannot get reinforcements there because they are stuck on the bunker or they are not made. Still only making Goliaths. We want tanks against Hydras, we want tanks. No need to make so many Goliaths, just prioritize tanks. And now we have Swarm, and this might be just lights out for Terran. Maybe not quite yet, but the Zerg is growing. Zerg is growing, Zerg is getting not well +3 started, and the tank count has been reset. No more tanks. Even Plague on the command center. That's great. The Defiler is dead. He tried to burrow, but if there will be no... Oh, what are we doing here? This was a bit ambitious. We will kill some SCVs, but we will lose these Hydras. However, that doesn't matter. What matters is this. We have 2 more Defilers, more Hydras, we have drones over here. And unless Terran finds a way to spend their money, they might end up just being pinned forever. Sure, we reclaim the herd, we even transfer there, but we have only 1 tank. And now they're coming. And these Goliaths, they are 1-1, but these Hydras are 2-2, and they have Defilers with them, so this just is not going to... economy is good for the Zerg because they have more bases. Terran just now is starting to transfer here, so right now Terran will mine for a while, a bit more, but problem is that Terran is going to mine out their main and naturals faster than Zerg, and so Zerg had an economy lead for a while, and it's likely going to stay so, because yes, mineral patches are almost gone over here, and more importantly we have 4000 minerals and no gas, so still only 2 on gas here, and we just need to be making vulture tank at this point. Yeah, 37 for this matchup is good, especially when you are ahead on upgrades and on Hive. Obviously against mech you usually want to have more drones, more hatcheries, just more stuff, but we are doing fine. Even if we, at this point, any trade you can take a Zerg will be good, because they cannot remake tanks. It just keeps a turn forever on very low tank count. What we needed to do probably is 2 to 3 machine shops and tank vulture. Of course that opens the Terran to be vulnerable to a Mutalisk switch, but I mean that's how this matchup rolls. There are no upgrades even if you go for a Muta switch, so Right now Zerg's chips are very much in the Hydralisk upgrades, and we didn't go up to 2-1 because we were so gas starved this entire game. Now we have 3 on gas. Yeah, finally we sent a 33 to mine gas. But I mean, Terran mech can do a lot of things, but Zerg has good map control. Terran cannot get away with the hidden base, and these constant small attacks keeps Terran from reaching critical mass, and the engagements, while not favorable for the Zord, what matters is that tanks keep dying and we have only one machine shop remaking them. So once again, one tank. By the time we will have 3 tanks, Zerg will have another attack ready. And so while Terran has more workers, the Zerg is spending his money better. And yes, this is also good. Just get enough Sunkens so that you are not afraid of any Vulture run-wise counterattacks. When you can afford it, just do it. It will win you peace of mind, if nothing else. And the Zerg is playing it smart, so we're still denying bases. We're just starring the Terran out and occasionally attacking him with Swarm to reset the tank count. No Swarm here quite yet, but any Ultralisks? Yeah, we have the Ultra Cavern over here. So once we reset the Terran to a very low tank count, an Ultralisk switch would be very deadly. Or we could just go Hydra Lurker Swarm, that also works. Main base finally mining out for Terran. Natural base not too far from it. Hydra's still poking, still doing Zerg things. And we have only 1 tank, 2 tanks to deal with it. So it will take a while, and just 2 Hydras denying mining for a while. Defiler getting caught is not so great, but what's important is that Zerg is growing and the Terran is not. Ultralisks versus tanks are not that good for us, you are correct, but we only have 3 tanks and 1 machine shop. Oh, we got a 2nd machine shop, but we don't have the tanks. Like, the Zerg can afford to gain money pretty quickly to make like 10 ultras, and that would be not good for Terran when there are less tanks than ultras. Tank count was reset by small attacks over and over and over. And by the time the Terran will finally mine from his mineral only securely, the natural is almost dried out. So Zerg, I'm not sure, I didn't see any vultures come here, so I think it was a transfer. Actually, they might have died, because I don't see drones. Like, there are many bases but not that many drones, so it's likely that I missed some sort of harassment here. Which is good, that's what Terran needs to make happen to come back in the game. A lot of making a lot of vultures right now and laying a lot of mines would probably be the only way to survive what's coming. The supply is still favoring Terran, but their upgrades are very good, and Ultralisk switch looks like it's coming. But however, the Terran has stabilized. We have 5 tanks now. We have 2 vessels. What's on the upgrade count? I guess we are not upgrading beyond 1-1, and that's a problem. Being stuck on 1-1 against what's likely going to be an Ultralisk switch will be problematic. These Zergs didn't finish this tank. That's surprising. Oh, but we are getting lurkers, and if they manage to burrow here, it will be very problematic for Terran. Oh, but nope. Should be able to irradiate whatever is left here. Actually, no energy, so these 2 lurkers managed to stay over here. But Terran can back off. These lurkers are not in range of the command center, and should be cleared up eventually. We still did not saturate this line, but we saturated over here, so the economy is still booming for Zerg. And the Terran is still pinned to his third base, and no chance of taking a 4th. This is very well secured. There's Defiler and Zerlings over here, so we will clear this side, but expanding here should be a priority for Terran. And we badly need more factories. Like, we need more factories, and we need to spend the money on vultures. This might be problematic for turn. These tanks are not sieged, so an attack from here with swarm could cut off the turn forever. Like, this army is sizable, but it's not big, and the tanks come back home. While we took the fourth here, unfortunately we are getting broken from the side. So good map awareness by M153. Just picks the turn apart. The moment they left, they got counter-attacked with swarm, and this base soon glides out. And even if we make them do damage here, there is nothing that can deal with a single defiler in this army. We are bringing some 4 tanks here, that's good, but still defilers can... Yep, this will slow the attack forever. And Plague is broken. Like this stone. What's problematic, this is very hard to clear and it will cut off the reinforcements. Somehow we're still mining here, but this army is trapped and it will get cleared just by Hydras under the Dark Swarm. And that's end of the game. No GG, but it was a good game. I liked very much how the Zwerg player just played. He clearly had a plan and executed it well, so just kept growing, kept denying bases, kept trading, kept killing tanks. Very well played. It could be an allied chat, GG, you're right. So, for our next match, we have a PvZ. We have Huron against M153. So, let's go. So far we have M153 at 1-1 in the group, and Huron is 0-2. So let's see if he can turn his luck around and win some matches. So in the top right we have M153, the Hive Zerg from the last game. Very well played. Impressive stuff for Coach Pupil League. And in the bottom left we have Huron in the orange. And unfortunately we are still not sending a proper mineral patch. In this case it actually ends up being more efficient because one of those probes was immediately turning around and only mining in the 2 front minerals. That's nice when it happens, even if unintentional. But we want a proper mineral patch because it adds up to quite a lot. It could be like 50 minerals by the time your nexus finished, and that could be difference between 6 Zerlings from Overpool killing your starting cannon and not. Eternum, it's best of 1, but it's preseason, so preseason matches are best of 1. After that it's just it's going to be team games. Preseason it's all best of 1, all on polypoid. And by the way, what's with the ratio of cross positions? I'm trying to remember. I think, did we have every single game on cross positions on polypoid, or was there at least one on close spots? Because it looks like every single game was on cross positions. Is there a difference in turnaround time for different mineral patches? Not sure what you mean by turnaround time, but yeah, you should prioritize. In some spots, certain mineral patches allow you to mineral boost, meaning the worker, as you can see animation, when the worker is reaching the nexus, sometimes it turns around immediately and sometimes it takes a little bit. So the back patches generally end up turning around immediately on return, and front patches you sometimes can mineral boost by mining from a correct angle or pressing return cargo once you are enrolled. But even if you do not mineral boost, front patches tend to mine faster. That is not always the case, and these top and bottom patches usually are as good as the patches behind, but sometimes they are worse. But these 4 frontal patches is something that almost every map have, almost every position will have like 4 patches that are really good, and you should, if you can, like if you can't, don't sweat it, but if you can, you want to mine from these patches first. As for the time it takes for the worker to turn around, for example, with Protoss Nexus, you can mine from this angle, from over here or from over here, and it will mineral boost you. The command centers and hashes are a bit different. I'm not as familiar with them as a Protoss player, but you can mineral boost them anyway. I think Cadenzi made some videos for Eclipse and Fighting Spirit and Circuit Breaker. Don't think we have one for Polypoid yet, but check it out on YouTube, like mineral boosting. But yeah, don't sweat it. It's mineral boosting is not that important. It's a small gain. What is important early game and what we'll recommend to focus on is to send a worker per mineral patch as soon as possible. For example, this top mineral, it was being mined, but we are no longer mining from it. But alright, enough of that. Back to the game. The Protoss actually opened with one gate forge into a second gateway. It's not really a build. We are probably going to end up taking a delayed natural with cannons, and this can be overwhelmed by mass links at this point. The reason why this build doesn't make sense is because we went for one gate gas, one gate stack, but then we added second gateway and a forge, and we are making cannons to possibly take an edge show. Why is this problematic? It's because we end up having 600 gas that we cannot spend actually. So this is starting out very badly for our Protoss player, because this build is not coherent. We'll have one Dragoon to maybe scare out some overlords or help defend, but we end up cutting a lot of probes, making forge, core. Oh, this goon is trapped. Poor Dragoon. This is very sad. But yeah, we ended up delaying our Nexus for a very long time with these cannons and this forge. And the Zerg meanwhile took 3 bases and is going for 973. So 973 is scary because it's always a hard build to stop. But in this case we still don't have a Nexus, and the Zerg is actually ahead on mineral, on workers, on economy, on everything. So this will be very hard to hold. If the Zerg, for example, just goes for 973, which is 9 probes in main, 7 natural, 3 at the third base, exact numbers, so it looks like something that M153 wanted to do that was predefined. I guess we don't have the 2 on gas, the extra 2 drones on gas. We probably want that. We don't need this crypt colony. Obviously we are somewhat blind, but right now if I was a Zerg I would be very confused about what could possibly come. Like 2 gateways, there were Dragoon Corsair push, maybe with a river, but once you see that they actually threw down cannons, you can kind of discount that, because then they cannot really afford to make a river shuttle. And if you also see the Nexus, then you can completely discount that. This scouting there didn't really see much, but we want to push here. We certainly, as a Zerg, we certainly want to push here. Once we are somewhat sure that there is no river just dropping our base, we want to push. And in general, with your initial hydralisks, you could already pressure this and most likely kill it. There is certainly enough hydras to go ahead and kill everything. If you're going for 973, you want to make Protoss make cannons, kill forge or gateway if they are. If not, you want them to force them to make cannons. So making hydras and then transitioning to droning, this looks like a defensive build with Slunkens, but actually 973 is, as an opener, is very aggressive. So we are moving out, but only after we made a layer, spore colony and a lot of hydras. But yeah, I guess it's possible that our Zerg got confused by seeing what the Protoss is doing. We can still push here, just need to bring hydras. For example, we have 10 hydras here, but we still have 2 here. Like we have, this is half our army, basically. If you had 20 hydras here, this would evaporate. You could just Could keep an overlord over here. That's a good location to have it. And you want to, like, if you are going for hydras with 3 hatch layer, if possible, I mean 2 hatch hydra before layer, you want your overlord here so that they cannot just defend with DT or run out with DT and start. It can get problematic if you got a DT out, because then you need defense here and stuff like that. And yes, overlord can confirm the nexus. So now that there are 5 goons, and I don't know if range is not done yet. To be honest, this can actually push into this. You just focus down the cannons, and then you micro against slow zealots while focusing down dragoons. You can just break it. Alternatively, you can drone up and add hatcheries, which we are doing. You can also, if you feel like you cannot break the Protoss, they're adding more dragoons, so eventually they will have enough ranged damage output here to hold down this choke passage to become hard to push into. Then you can transition into lurker contain, and that's what our Zerg is doing. So we are going for a lurker contain while we are adding hatcheries and droning up. So we are on 34 drones that can maintain 5 hatch hydra production, for example, and we can take 6 hatch on location out of that. So yeah, for Protoss we are rescuing this goon. We kind of have a shuttle right now, but we still decided to kill the pylon. We don't have the +1 attack yet, so we have a river likely to pass down from this contain. That will be helpful, because our second gas was late, because we took a second base late and we aren't actually mining it. Lurker contain is very scary because it is hard to afford enough observer, dragoon and templar to break it. Like minos in this situation become kinda useless for the Protoss because zealots cannot break out of the contain, so you end up just making dragoons. And Zerg just replaces hydras and lurkers. Like the Zerg economy works better in a contained situation. They just end up spending their minerals more efficiently. So a river can change that a bit, because you can have a constant damage output on the lurkers that costs minerals. Unfortunately, rivers tend to bug out, and then they don't actually shoot things, and they might be sniped by hydras moving forward, so it can go either way. But we have kind of a soft contain. We didn't actually secure this passage, so if Protoss had 20 speedloads, they could just run up and wreak havoc on the map. But overall, this situation looks good for the Zerg. They took the high ground position. They have good upgrades, so they're matching attack upgrade of the Protoss. Starting +2 a bit faster than the Protoss +2. Taking a 4th base. Still a bit too low on drones. For this matchup you want more drones than a ZVT. It would be nice to go up to 50 drones right now. Just spend your gas on lurkers, complete the contain, drone up, add hatcheries, and then just start rallying endless amounts of units over here. That's kind of how it goes. We're getting a queen nest. It's fine, but I would love to see a spire. One way that Protoss can do something in this situation is start dropping, like storm drops, DT drops, even just an odd 4-0 drop into a main while you drop something else elsewhere, stuff like that. Just in general, Scourge would help to deal with observers. And you will always have the possibility of a muta switch, so a spire at this point would be nice to see. Aeternum is very much correct. If there are no Corsairs, you can just make a network of overworks throughout the entire map and you will not be surprised by anything. So we have the river. Where is it? Over here. But we're not pushing out just yet. And this angle is still not secure with lurkers, but this is very, very secure. So if I was a Protoss in this situation against my opponent, I would try to shoot something at Hydras and pull them down, just trigger them to attack and get damaged over here. Just try to provoke something, maybe there is something that is not on hold position, and just try to kill free stuff. But yes, right now this container is no longer soft. It's very much hard, especially once these become lurkers and burrow here. And well, while it's good that the Protoss army is ranged and it's positioned to possibly break the contain with how it's Dragoon River. That's basically what you want to break through the contains. The issue is that we are getting Hive. Oh, Spire is nice, but we're getting Hive, we're getting melee upgrades, so right now, as soon as Defilers kick in and Cracklings kick in, Dragoons lose value greatly. So Protoss is very much on timer. Protoss is very much on a timer to break out, and getting units through choke is difficult. Over here, this contain is like it's giving Protoss room. Well, since so much time has passed and there are so many Hydras, it's kind of became room to hang themselves. But a contain over here and over here, like a bit more forward, it would make it much more difficult for the Protoss to bust out, because right now they can position their entire army over here, but if there were lurkers, they could only utilize their front units. And you could always, for example, position lurkers here and then fall behind to the high ground. Like these, basically these units should be over here. Then it's much harder to break out. Still, we are waiting for Storm. We have Triple Forge, but not upgrading, unfortunately. Still only 5 gateways, no 4 gateways only, and a lot of money. So a bit of a mismatch here, but we have 2 rivers. However, it doesn't look like we'll be able to break out before mining out, basically. Defilers are coming, and with them these Dragoons will become worthless. The Zealots are not a favorable matchup against Hydra Lurker, especially when Zerg +2 attack, and there is so much Zerg behind. Zerg is actually spending their money very well, but let's see how this breakout attempt comes. Usually you want to send 1 or 2 Zealots on the front to trigger some Lurker spines while Dragoons fire, and you want Templars or Reavers here to storm the clumps of Hydras. Unfortunately, we have neither, and as you can see, the Protoss army is just evaporating. Finally, storms are out, but not a great storm, 2 good storms, but there is so much damage output on these goons. Dragoons actually die to Hydras very quickly. You need Zealots in front, so when it's very technical how you need to break out from Lurker campaign. You want splash damage at hand ready to storm clump Hydras when they move forward. You want Zealots not too far away to body block, and when you don't have that, your army just evaporates. But yes, Zerg was ahead on economy for a while and ahead on upgrades, and the composition, it was okay for Protoss to break out, but the Templars were not in position and we never dropped the Reavers. So GG, that's it for this game, and unfortunately Huron is down 0-3 at the moment. And 153 goes up to 1. Yes, it was not a great engagement, but it's very hard to have a good engagement in that position, and that is why, as a beginner Zerg, you probably should love Lurker contains. It's really hard to break through, it's not that hard to set up. If the Protoss allowed you to take map control and get your army in front of their base, without sacrificing too much economy for it, just Lurker contain them. It will make your day. Alright, for our next matchup we have a ZVZ. So we have 2 Zergs in the group, and that's our only ZVZ, and it's M153 against Squad. I wonder if we'll get cross positions on Polypoid again, and we do. We actually ended up in the cross positions again. I wonder if these maps are edited to make only cross position possible, or is just our luck. So in the top right we have M153 in the yellow, and in the bottom left we have quad in orange. And I think it's the first game we cast for quad today. So cross position ZVZ. I unfortunately don't have much knowledge about this matchup. We see that quad is using the larva trick to move his larva to the left of the hatchery by pressing stop when selecting it with an overlord, and that should get him some more minerals. Over here, so it looks like we're getting an overlord for both players, so no 9 pulls. So let's see if someone goes for a 12 pull or we see a 12 hatch. M143 left map spam positions OP in ZVZ. That's not quite true, because usually you can actually mineral boost the right positions better. So the player on the left gets his drones to mine faster, but the player on the right has his drones mining faster the entire game often. So I would say that actually the right positions are more favorable. You only get the bonus from the larva trick once on the left side. On the right side you can get mineral boosting going forever. Okay, so we have 12 hatch against what looks like the 12 full gas, and M153 is with an early economy lead, but anything can happen. Let's see how it works, goes further. Neither player chose to drone scout, so because they are cross positions, they will be in the dark guarding each other's build for a long time. But so far the opening favor M153 heavily. He will have more economy, more larva, a bit less gas, but the Zerlings from quad will not be fast enough to punish the 12 hatchery. So we have a hatchery follow up by quad, but as you can see we already have 3 worker difference. While a quad is getting 6 links, we will have 3 larvas to defend it, and if we make 6 links of our own. But even if quad wanted to attack right now, he doesn't know where his opponent is, and he's actually taking a defensive position on his ramp. That's good, and it won't be broken by a 9 pull, but we are not doing anything against this 12 hatch. Actually we are taking a late gas and going for 3 hatch. So I don't know much about ZVZ, but once again, once we took the extractor, we are not mining from the top patch. I see M153, you're in the chat, and is that something that happens very often with you? Just send a drone to mine there. But over here, I mean, we have a Zerling lead for quad, but it's not quite enough to break. We will have a much faster layer, but it doesn't look like we are going for layer for quad. So this looks like one of two things. It's either hydraulics or a big Zerling attack. We don't see link speed yet, so but we are making a lot of links. We took our hatchery to get more larva, and we're spending it on Zerlings. But we are mining more than just 100 gas for the Zerling speed. We're standing Spire, so unless we get broken, Quad would be in a nice position to take the game if his mutas get value. Basically, with how many Zerlings M153 made, he needs to break this ramp to win. And it's hard to attack into the ramp. However, what works very well for M153 is that Quad has no vision of these Zerlings leaving the base or existing, so we are in the dark, we do not know. And this will be the first time that we see it coming. And this is not quite enough links, so yeah, this is not looking good. It will take a while to break up the ramp, but reinforcements are very strong and we need Sunken's ASAP. Okay, so we're fighting on the ramp, but we keep the concave here a bit moving forward a bit too fast, but Like, the second this overlord saw the Zorlings, we needed to start throwing down Sunkens. And as is, M153 got up and he has an insane amount of reinforcements coming. And Zerling speed kicked in. This will be very difficult to hold. There is more Zerlings and more production for M153, and these Zerlings got caught on move command. So almost no losses there for M143, and this looks like a quick victory. And this Sunken is too little too late. Yeah, just when this overlord saw just how many Zerlings there were, needed to start this Sunken immediately. Then by the time this ramp was broken, it could be finished. But as is, we didn't really get to make mutas, and even if we did get 3 mutas, it is possible to throw down an Evo chamber and add some creep colonies while the Zerlings counter-attack if the mutas leave. So it's not like it's an immediate victory if we hold and make mutas, but as is, we lost everything. So that should be game, and M153 is up 3-1, I believe. Or is it 4-1 already? Not sure. I might have missed some games. Well, GG, well played. So it's a bit of an Ogre Zork strategy. Make quick hatchery, make another hatchery, make a lot of Zerlings, but as you can see, it is strong and it wins games. This is basically a ZVZ equivalent of the games that M153 lost to the 5 gateway speedloads. It's pretty much the same. Alright, for our next matchup we have Melina against Quadrox. So another TVZ. Let's see if Quadrox can win a game. It's the second game we see him. And let's see how his ZVT works. So we have Quadrox in the bottom right. It's still polypoid, and we didn't get cross positions. For the first time we did not get cross positions. So in the bottom left we have Undead Girl, aka Melina. And well, good splits from both players. We are mining each on a unique patch. I'm happy to see that. I like my mining efficiency. So let's see what the openings will be. It looked from the previous game that Undead Girl favors mech playstyle, and in general playing it safe, playing defensive. And we didn't see much from Quadrox just yet. We wonder if we will see some 2H muta or 3H muta, since he did rush Spire in the previous game. It's about the covers. I don't think so. We had all sorts of covers, and it's just, I think it's the first game we have that wasn't cross positions. Oh, yeah. I hope you do not lock your Mino patch with the pool this time. So, likely going to be a 12 hatch. And from the turn, this looks like a 11 Rex. I'll probably guess next if it's going to be mech, we'll see. But we are taking 12 hatchery, we are not drone scouting, we are being greedy. What if there were 2 barracks right over here? But let's see. Oh, we are drone scouting, it's just a little bit later than normal. Usually you send out 2 at the same time. One to place a hatchery and another to scout. Interesting. Is this drone heading cross spots? I guess it will check the center, which is great. It's a good thing to do. But the Overlord actually will scout the turn. And from the Terran side we have gas, so not surprising after the previous game. We might see some more Goliaths build, but unfortunately we don't like to mine from 3 mineral patches. It's a thing that happens when you send workers to mine gas. You tend to send the ones that are closer, but you actually can just pick the ones that are returning minerals and send them to gas, or just rebalance your mining after you do it. It's not critical by any means, it's just something that you can do to get a bit more economy. This over should run away, and I'm pretty sure it saw the refinery, so we know. We are going for 3 hatch actually. So probably we'll have to get a sunken or a hydraulic den to, or more like sunken and a hydraulic den to block any vultures. Oh, did this overlord die? I missed it, unfortunately. Thanks for notifying the chat, but oh, this marine killed that overlord. Did it turn around? It hurts a lot to lose your first overlord, because now we just don't know what's going on and we are supply blocked. But luckily, even though we are supply blocked, we are not wasting any larva. We had to make 2 overlords, but we will be able to spend all larva, so it's not an end of the world. We're getting a sunken. This sunken looks more on time than the one we saw in the game before that. First, it's not cross position, so vulture scouting, vulture attack path is faster, but it might be a little bit too early still. So the very same position from the turn and the same bunker, and I don't like this because in the previous game we had tanks being stuck on this bunker. I think it was against Protoss actually, but it's the first game of the day. But after we added a scanner here, we had tanks being stuck here, so it's not very good. And once again we are just sitting at home with the vulture because SCV died. So we don't know, it's a defensive vulture against Zerlings. It's not checking to make sure that the Zerg is honest and made a sunken. So in this situation you could, for example, make a creep colony and keep a Zerling here and just don't make it into a sunken until the vulture moves out. It's like a small thing that you can do. But now the vultures are, the bunker is up, there are 2 vultures and they feel safe enough to come out. Meanwhile the Zerg has 3 hatch layer. It looks like it's going to be Mutalisks. No, Hydralisk and a second sunken. They should not be able to run by here, but it would be nice to have a few Zerlings just in case. And we sneaked a drone out, so we might be able to take a hidden base. 2 vultures, I also am not sure if you can block them with 1 sunk. For example, they could like sneak by over here. But if you have like a 2 Zerlings here, then they could body block. Or if you are fast, which I would not recommend trying, you could pull the drones and block the vulture as it comes in. But don't rely on that. That's a good way to lose. Yeah, the Overlord saw this refinery. So right now we have an economy lead for the term, but not much. Zerg was mining more for a while, so this SCV only got secured. This command center, I mean. And we're getting a Spire. Spire and 2 Gazers, so we will have 900 or close to it when the Spire finishes, and we might be able to take a 4th immediately as a 3rd base with a 4th hatch right here, if the vulture does not check for it. And this is something that happened to Undergo in the previous TVZ. Zerg sneaked a base over here, so this is even better hidden, so it's likely will come up. However, an SCV is scouting for these bases this time. And we are going for a 3 factory armory armor, so we're going for a Goliath build. And this, when done right, it should not take any damage from 3 hatch mutas, especially if the Hydralisk then was made with some Hydras. These mutas are not too much delayed. I think they will be hatching right now. If you just made like 3rd hatch, immediate gas, layer, Spire immediate, but they are just a little bit delayed. So realistically should not take too much damage from this, but we are blind. We don't know that it's mutas. These vultures will see it, good, and it's actually very nicely timed, this poke, because 7 minutes right when the mutas are supposed to hatch, we came in and we saw them hatched. So now we have the information to start throwing down turrets. Unfortunately, we are not throwing down turrets, and not for the lack of money. We have 600 minerals. SCV saw this base coming up, but oh god, I'm bad at switching vision. We have Goliaths, and I guess they have range, so we will win enough time to make these turrets. I think if the mutas beelined here and immediately went up, they could kill quite a few SCVs before these turrets were done. but there was a break, understandable, in the Mutu's movement, and it just gave the Terran the time to get the turrets. So now +1 armor will be complete, and we have 4 factories, and we're still late on the second guess, but this time it works, it makes more sense because we needed minerals to make turrets. That's alright. But I hope we minded the guess with 3 series this time, because that was a big reason why that game went the way it was, the way it did. Now we have 4 factory go live production and a lot of SCVs. I mean, you don't have to, with 3 hatch mutas you don't have to make damage with mutas. We forced for 6, 7 turrets. We forced 7 turrets, and that's fine. Like, that's good enough, to be honest. Like, we cannot contest this area, and over here it's fairly tightly secured. So we just have a lot of drones, and we have 4 hatcheries, and we can make hydras now. These Sunkens I am not a fan of. So a thing about Goliaths is they cannot attack you fast. So unlike Marine Medic with Steam, they cannot cross the map fast. So if you have a Zerling here, you should want to have a Zerling here at all times, unless there are vultures killing it non-stop. So you can just make Sunkens when the turn moves out. So here we have options. Here we trade some health on mutas for Swiss. That's nice. Could 2-shot a turret, I think, if you have that many mutas. I'm not sure if you need +1 attack for that or not, but losing mutas not so good, but just trading some health for Swiss, that's good, and we could do it earlier. But over here we are sticking to mutas, and we are getting +1 armor on mutas, good. So we can just go really heavy on the mutas, just mine this third gas and stick to mutas and just overwhelm these Goliaths. Or we could go for a Hydra switch, because it's only, I'm not sure if our Zerg saw it, but if it's just 1 add-on tanks, then some Hydras wouldn't be terrible. But it takes gas to make Hydra upgrades, so it might be better to just stick to mutas. So +1 air carapace finished, and +1 attack is still a ways out. So let's see if we can stop this timing. We have a lot of Sunkens to win us time, and we have a lot of mutas. So when this happens, first we want a Zerling here to know when this is coming. Second, as soon as these mutas, these Goliaths leave, you attack and wreck their main. Then either they come back or they commit. If they commit, then you kill half the RCVs and you fly back while the Terran is clearing your Sunkens, and then you engage the army. So that's kind of what you want to do. As is, this is the problem. We are fighting into an arc with half our mutas. You probably wanted to just snipe the tanks and leave. This would give you Sunkens the time to do whatever you want. Like, it would be hard for him to attack into Sunkens. You are doing it now, but it's a little bit late. So we unfortunately lost our army, and the Terran is now free to reinforce if they produce units. Okay, as a Terran, when you are doing this, you probably just want to rally across, and this bunker positioning. Once again, units are getting stuck and not reinforcing. But in this case, it probably doesn't matter. If the reinforcements are late enough, then we can make an army and clear these units before the reinforcements come in. But we killed the bunker and we are coming, so probably want to take a turn behind this if you can. But it's probably fine also as an all-in. The engagement went very well for Terran because of 2 things. First, mutas engaged half at a time, and second, there was no counter-attack into main before the engagement. So Terran got what he wanted. He got to fight parts of the army at a time and not take economy damage. So in this game, Terran's game plan worked. Here we just have fighters and mutas coming to the bottleneck and melting. And it was a well-timed attack with +1/1. But I think that Quadrox had the units to stop this, but just didn't engage correctly. But yeah, GG. And with this, our turn, he won one game. I think that girl has so far has only lost one game, TVZ. And alright, let's see what happens next. And Goliath indeed, and Terran mech in general is frustrating to play against. Mines, siege tanks, Goliaths, you name it. Alright, so for next game we have Quadrox once again, and it's a ZVP against SC2GG Rice. So we saw Quadrox in a ZVZ, and it ended up not working out for him because he didn't see the Zorlings coming. And then we saw Quadrox in a fairly nice CVT where I think his game plan was alright, and it was just a matter of engagement and unit control. So let's see how he works in ZVP. And it's not cross spots once again. I think it's because Quadrox is in the game. So we have Quadrox in the, I'm not even sure what color is it silver, gray, in the top right, and we have SC2GG Rice in the top left. And it looks like we are going for a fast expansion opening. Let's see how we make our wall, and this is not how we make our wall. Okay, so the probe is going back to mine, so it's going to be either 11 Nexus or gateway expansion, but okay, this is not how you want to wall. You want to put your pylon somewhere over here, and gateway here, and the forge over here, and then there is only a 2 gap to hold. But this way, this pylon is exposed, and we actually do not have a good place to fit our gateway in. Like maybe we would put it over here, but then we could make like a forge over here, but it's if for example we are defending from a Hydra bust, then Hydras would have a very good arc on these buildings. Anyway, yeah, it's going to be hard to make a fairly zoning tight wall for this. From there we have the 11 hatchery, a good build. 11 hatchery gets you pull fast enough to deal with gateway expansion zealots. Basically, you compared to 12 hatch, you get 6 links a bit faster, meaning they hatch before the zealot comes and hides behind the mineral line. So you don't need to do any drone drills to protect your drones, and the zealot doesn't get as good of a trade as they might otherwise hope. From the Protoss we have once again 11 Nexus, so we are being greedy. It's a strong build. It also almost always just dies to 9 pull. Basically your cannon is not done at all, and you need to defend with your probes until it happens, and usually you just lose. But against 12 hatch it's fairly even economy. Force the right, keyboard to the left, gate behind, I guess. But yeah, as you can see here, this is not ideal. This is a gap, this is a gap, and this pylon can be ranged by Hydras from over here. This cannon does not protect this pylon. So, not ideal. Also a problem when you make a cannon that far forward. Sure, it protects the hatchery, but actually the cannon itself is not protected. For example, if you are surprised by Hydras, it's 3 hatch Hydra, and you have zealots, for example, defending the passage. If the cannon is this far forward, the Hydras can step forward, kill it, retreat. If you place cannon a bit behind, like 1 hex behind, then Hydras cannot do it. Or they need to come forward enough to where zealots can come out and punch them. So this cannon position makes you exposed. So from the Protoss side we have cybernetic core before the second pylon. It is something that 11 Nexus allows you to do, and that's good. We have relatively really fast cybernetic core, gas, all good stuff, but the downside from what I see is we only have 3 workers here. Just transfer 5 probes, and you actually want to rally your first 2 probes. Like you transfer 5, and then you 2 next probes that you make in your main you can bring to your natural. You want to prioritize having 7 workers here mining. Anyway, from the Zerg we have layer and pull. So I mean pull throwing speed. So standard opening from our Zerg. 3 hatch layer and next 100 guess goes into spawning into zoning speed. We only have 2 links. So Protoss lost his scouting probe, and what you want to do is you want to attack with your first zealot to make them, force them to make more than 2 Zolings. The way it goes now is that even if we attack, for example, with 3 zealots, now it's a bit late because the zoning speed kicked in, and that means we can start our Zolings later. We can start our Zolings like by the time the zealots are over here, and the zealots will not be able, I guess over here is more like it, but the zealots will not be able to retreat easily. And with Zoling speed you can backstab the Protoss when he moves out, if he goes for an early move out. As is, the Protoss is not forcing the Zerg to make any links, and the Zerg is recognizing it and making only pure drones. If the Zerg can get away with just 2 Zolings early game, they're in a very good position. And we are going for a Spire, and this Overlord sees everything. This Overlord sees that Protoss is going for just Zealot mode. So, it's once again the patented manlot. We don't need to mine gas after we order speed, and we just go for 5 gate speed loads. Actually, it's something that I would recommend to a beginner Protoss player. It's strong, it's difficult to hold, it hits fast. Okay, how do we want to stop it? First, we kinda want walls. We want walls, and this sunken is too far forward. So I'd say you need 2 sunkens per base against this. With what we are going for Spire. So our goal is to make 2 sunkens per base, some Zerlings just so that Zealots don't run by into the main, and then we make Mutas. We don't need Overlord speed at all against this. We just don't need Overlord speed. We just make 2 Sunkens and Mutas and then we defend. But as is, we didn't make Zolings to block the passage, and we have only 1 Sunken, so this can do a lot of damage. The Mutas are hatching, so the Zealots are on the timer, but I think you should go for this Sunken. Just send 4 or 5 Zealots to Sunken and then to the drones, while the rest go in here. Yes, some attacking the drones and the rest focusing the Spire. But these Zealots are not doing anything. They could be killing this Sunken and then going for these drones. We have more Zealots rallied, and they probably should go over here if the Protoss knows that this base exists. I don't think it was scouted. Yeah, it wasn't. So, but yes, this Mutas will... A lot of drones went down and the Spire went down, but this Mutas will clear the Zealots eventually. Here you want to, as Zerg, you want to drill, to run, just do not stand and take it. Just make Zealots kill as few drones as you can. We are down to 7 drones only, so if Protoss made any defense in their base from Mutas, they should win, because they killed the Spire and there are like 7 Mutas. Let's see what the Protoss made. We have no cannons here. We have 2 cannons, 3 cannons here, but no, against this you probably want to just go double Stargate or something, or you want to also be making Dragoons and just no more probes. If you killed that many drones, then while your Zealots are winning time, you want to just spend all your money on this. Like, this is good, but it is too late. The Zealots are gone. The Zerg should be desperate right now because there are only 12 drones. So the Mutas will be looking to do some serious counter damage. And these cannons, I do not think they will finish, and most likely the Protoss will be reduced to 1 base. Depends on if the Mutas go, and they go for it. They don't go into the main, and this looks like a very dead Protoss Nexus. And while the Zealots did a lot of damage, the issue is that right now this Nexus will be lost, and no hatcheries went down, so we have 4 hatcheries to remake drones with. You will be surprised how fast that can make units, so can make drones. And Dragoons will not be able to clear this at all. From 1 guess, it will take forever to kill 7 Mutas with Dragoons. They did lure into the cannon fire, but this Nexus will go down. Well, we decided to kill the cannon. And it might be possible that even the core will go down. Now it's 4 bruised mutas, so we actually might be able to clear them with guns. These guns should go for it before there's like any Zolens or anything. It looks like they won't kill the mutas before the Nexus will go down, so we ended up trading out mutas. Oh, we have more mutas, so the Spire was remade. Yes, the Spire was remade. We are still on only 13 drones. There is a goon, random goon in the main wrecking. And the Nexus, okay, it's gonna go down, and we have a GG. 9 mutas probably would not be cleared. So Quadrox wins his first game, and GG Rice unfortunately loses another one. It was a good attack actually by the Zealots, and they did a ton of damage, but just needed to mine minerals on the natural, and second needed those cannons faster. And then the third, the dragoons were late. Just a little bit too many zealots made, and a bit of too slow reaction I get for the mutas, because I think like there were one big wave, and then there were reinforcements heading to the third. I think they never went there, so probably for the natural. And after that, I think we made 5 more zealots, and those zealots should have been cannons for sure. But yeah, once he saw the mutas, you basically should not make any more zealots. You just attack with what you have to in multiple bases to trade for drones, maybe kill a Spire, for Sunkens, make drones run or kill them, and meanwhile you make cannons at home. But unfortunately cannons were late, and that's just how it goes sometimes. So now we have the final game of the group, and it's Quadrox against Huron. It's another ZVP, so let's see if Quadrox can make it a 2-2. I think Huron hasn't won a single game so far, and we didn't get a cross position, so if your name is Quadrox, then you just don't get to spawn cross spots, I guess. Everyone else does. So let's see. The Overlord is heading in the wrong direction. We are using the larva trick. And this looks like it might be a pylon in main from the Protoss, because you would want to be ordering it soon, so we're not sending a probe there. No, it's just a probe relic. And if you rally your 8 probe to your natural, then as you can see it will reach the... it's like 150 minerals it reaches. And ideally you would want your pylon to be like over here. I'm not sure if this pylon will give you... well, it will give you room to place gateway here, but probably not here. I'm not 100% sure, might be fine. Okay, so we are scouting in the wrong direction unfortunately, but both players are. Over here we have an Overlord, no spawning pool, so likely 11 or 12 hatch. Let's see. It's looking like 11 hatchery. And from the Protoss side we are going for a forge, and probably will we double scout? That's the question. So we are double scouting. That's good, but in this particular case this favors Zork by a ton, because we are double probe scouting for 5 pool or to block the natural from over pool, but it's 12 hatch, 11 hatch, and it's already in progress. Spawning pool, spawning pool, spawning pool. Okay, it's not too late. Just a little bit late. And this Overlord is crossing through the hatchery, so cannon rush should be spotted if it happens. Like some Zergs just send their second over here, and in that case you might want to cannon rush them, bringing your second probe and just cannon rushing behind the minerals. But with Overlord sticking around here, it should not be an option. It is possible to glitch drones through the minerals to kill the cannons and stuff like that. So this is very bad. So against a 12 hatch or 11 hatch, which you actually scouted with a probe, you want to go for like 15 nexus. If you double probe scouted with forge, you can just go for a 15 Nexus, but we are getting 2 cannons and a gateway before the Nexus, so we are in a terrible position. And we actually gas stole the Zerg, which makes not much sense because they don't want 2 gas immediately and they can just take another one. And Zerg saw the cannons going up, so we are only making 2 links to clear any scouting and the rest is going into drones. But we are, or here you might want to transfer 3 workers, just to get in a habit. If you are going for an early hatchery, transfer 3 drones to your natural, because your main doesn't have maximum efficiency. Alright, other than that we are going for 3 hatch gas, so standard stuff. And the Protoss is unfortunately very behind, but yeah, we are going for gateway and gas before the Nexus, and unfortunately this Zealot and this gas it's late enough to where it should not do any damage, but we order it like, so we spend 300 minerals, 450, 550, so we delayed our Nexus by 650 minerals, actually 750 minerals with the second fire on. So that's a long time, and this is why we have 19 drones against 19 probes. As a Protoss, you want to be ahead on workers in this matchup at least until like 9 minutes, after which Zerg might take over. But early on, if you go for fast expansion, you should be ahead on workers by a lot. And once again, this build is not quite coherent. We made 3 Zealots before and mining gas before we make cybernetic core. What was it? What are we making here? We still don't have cybernetic core. Like with the cybernetic core that late, we won't have Corsair in time to scout, or you can just die to Mutas. A lot of things can go wrong with the cybernetic core. As a Protoss, really you should prioritize getting your cybernetic core around 18 supply, like 21 at the latest. Otherwise, a lot of bad things can happen to you. So we are already 5 workers behind, and we are going immediately for a second gas, but we are not spending the gas we have. We are not making +1, and we have 300 gas already, so in this case just delay your second gas, no need to rush it. And on the Zerg side, 3 hatch layer, Spire, 5 hatch Hydra, so a staple build, a standard build, very many top 4 Zergs use it. You just get layer, you get Zerling speed, then you get Spire, then you get Hydra then an Overlord speed, and you have a lot of stuff going on nicely for you. This is actually not 5 hatch, so we didn't make a 5th hatchery, we should be making it here. It's a bit late, like it's late, you don't want it at 6 minutes, you want it earlier. But it's alright. We have some semblance of a wall here, that's obviously not a good wall. Maybe if you add an Evo chamber here, or I mean den, but we already have a den over here. Like you'd need a 6th hatchery to make this more wallable. There are a lot of gaps that can be attacked by speedlots, but it's fine. I mean, we are 10 workers ahead. Our opponent has only Zealots, and we are watching for the move out. We're getting +1, but it's really late. And we're getting +1 and range and robo. Wow. Okay, so this is not much of a build. You don't really need +1 if you go for Dragoon Reaver, which it looks like. But we are actually rushing Observer. So we are at the 7-minute mark. And if someone went for 3 hatcheries, then took a guess, they could have Mutas spawning at 7 minutes or like 6 something, 640, 630. I'm not sure about 630, but like on close positions and like 710s you could have 9 Mutas in your base. So this is why people open with Stargate or pressure with Zealots, because Mutas can wreck your day. In this case, I think Quad could send an Overlord here and just check what the Protoss is doing, but unluckily for him he scouted in the wrong direction initially, so didn't quite saw what happened there. But this is nice, just making 2 Scourge and scouting with the Scourge, that's decent. I quite late Scourge, but there was no need to rush because we didn't see any Corsairs incoming. And now we're just getting +1 Hydro upgrades. We have Overlord speed. Burrow is cute, not particularly needed, but it's okay. And we have a lot of Hydros, so Protoss was forced to make a lot of cannons. And we don't have much production for the Protoss. We have one gateway, we have a robotics that it doesn't have a support bay, so only observers being made, and these 5 hatch. Okay, you should add the 6 hatch at this point. You have like 1 drone per mineral patch. You made some Hydras to defend any initial aggression from the Protoss. At that point, just you can add 6 hatch. It can be here, it can be... Okay, never mind, I'm actually blind. So we have a 6 hatch going on expansion, so this cover is making me not seeing things a bit. There is a hatchery, alright. Okay, so what can you do at this point? There is no point in attacking into a lot of cannons, even though you probably could take it with your production, and I'm sure Eonzor could attack here, but you don't need to. You can just make a round of drones, saturate this base, go 7 hatch, get lurkers, or make mutas, also works, and just contain your opponent. You're doing fine. Zerk is basically smashing this game. This is a bit late, and like I said, there are a lot of cans here. They are not all firing together, so we can kill this. At this point I wouldn't want you to press further. Well, with this many Hydras, yes, sure, go ahead, especially when the Zealots decided to hide behind. But let's say the Zealots would be over here, then you could just back off, kill this Forge, Gateway and Pylon while you're getting more Hydras. As is, Zealots were out of position, cannons weren't firing all at once, and we just broke through with superior economy and numbers. So, well played. Yeah, but for sure, if there is no storm, just kill the Forge, always kill the Forge. Alright, so this is it for today, and so this marks the end of group 17. So we had Quadrox go 2-2. We had Huron Dragon go 0-4, unfortunately. It was a little bit of a mismatch being in this group. M153, I believe, went 4-1, I think. I'm not sure. Only losing to SC2GG Rise. Melina only lost to M153 and didn't play against SC2GG Rise. And SC2GG Rise went, I believe, 2-2, winning against M153 and a PvP with a 3-gate against Huron Dragon's Greedy Nexus. So this leaves Melina BG and M153 is doing the best in the group, followed by SC2GG Rise and Quadrox being at 2-2. So hope you enjoyed the cast. This is it for today, and I'll see you next time.